My business is in Milford. I would buy a bottle of wine. It takes about an hour to drive home, and I would pretty much sip the whole bottle on the way home. So basically,
it's drinking. You drank the whole bottle. That's it.
Okay. The choice of words that mean the same thing.
No, they don't. They
Okay.
really do not mean the same thing, sir.
Okay.
And you can't make it up. Can you imagine that he uses those words at his parole hearing? I buy a bottle of wine for my drive home. It's an hour long, and I finished it. I took a sip. And it's a choice of words. You can't make it up. I don't know. He must have had too much of that Connecticut water, because with an answer like that, really, they continue to surprise me at these Connecticut parole hearings. They really do. And this man really has DUI after DUI after DUI. And finally, a judge said, enough is enough. You're going to go to prison. Now, the hearing doesn't get much better from his perspective. So I'll unpack it with the details at the end.
Good morning. Thank you for seeing me. My name is Stephen Courtney.
And your inmate number, sir?
417259.
Officer Snelly, it's clear that Mr. Courtney has some problems hearing, so if we could all raise our voices.
Okay. Mr. Courtney, have you heard her so far? Can you hear her so far?
Could you repeat that, please?
Can you hear us now better?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Stephen Courtney, inmate number 417259. He is serving a sentence of 63 months, execution suspended after 39 months jail, 3 years probation, followed for 3 counts of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, violation of probation with underlying offenses of reckless endangerment, interfering with officer resistance, and a violation of probation with the underlying offense of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, attempt to evade responsibility, and reckless driving. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of 3/15/2025 at 50%. There's no victim input in this case. The offender, there is an offender accountability plan. However, it has been reviewed and shows the offender has not completed any programs to date, utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system source. The SRT falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Courtney, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Well, obviously I'm here for my own mistakes. I fully acknowledge that. I made mistakes, and you have all my records in front of you, so you're aware of the fact. And I'm not saying this to make an excuse, because there is no excuse, but I was born with a very, very painful and terminal bone disease that I made the mistake of sipping wine on the way home from work to reduce the pain. None of the medications that the doctors gave me for years did anything at all. I was self-injecting myself for several years with 3 different medications, one stronger than the other. And the first 2 didn't work at all. The third one I was taking every month, and it worked for a few years. And then after a few years, it started working less and less, like 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks. FDA only allowed you to take it once a month because it had cancer side effects, but my doctors got the FDA to let me take it every 3 weeks. And I did that for about a year or 2, and that helped. But again, it kept getting less and less. So I got to the point in 2020 where I needed help. So I went and I sought counsel. And through 2020 and halfway through 2021, I sought counsel, and at the end of that, I have been completely alcohol-free for going on 4 years now, based on that counseling that I sought back in 2020 and 2021. I live with my wife. We have our own house. We've been together for 55 years. She's been fighting cancer for the last 30. So it's been a tough 14 months for her. But again, it's my fault. So I fully acknowledge that. I rationalized when I was sipping wine on the way home because I knew it was wrong, but it was helping with my pain level. So I definitely rationalized. And as I said, for the last 3.5, going on 4 years now, I've been completely alcohol free. I know that they suspended my license, so I have a problem there. I plan on going back to work. It's about 40 miles away from where I live. I'll have to figure out a way to get there. But I don't know. The one thing I would like to mention to you, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this because I've done this completely on my own for the last 30 years, and it's something that only my wife and I are aware of. But I established a philanthropic fund back 30 years ago, strictly for children who need help. Places like Covenant House, providing housing for teenagers who have no place to go. Shriners Hospital for Children, St. Jude's Hospital for
Okay,
children's
Mr. Courtney. Mr.
Yes,
Courtney,
ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're
Right.
asking you to tell us why you believe you deserve parole. Could
I
you
was just
focus
gonna-
on that question?
I was going to mention on the fact that this pet program of mine, I've contributed over $2 million to in the last 30 years, just to help children out. And again, nobody knows about it except me and my wife and the recipients. I stopped drinking completely. It was a mistake. I acknowledge that. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm used to working
Okay.
6.5 days a week. I've helped people my whole life. If I didn't have money, I did it with my carpentry skills. Once I became successful in business, I've done it financially, and I continue to do that. I will continue when I get out of here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you're ready, we'll begin with asking the questions we prepared based on the documents that were available to us.
Okay.
All right, we'll begin with my colleague, Ms. Berry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Courtney, your file was an interesting read, and your statement was even more interesting.
I think we need to be louder.
Okay. Are you struggling to hear me, sir?
I can hear you. It's tough, but I can hear you.
Okay. So I said that your file was an interesting read, and the statement that you just gave us was even more interesting. And it was interesting because you said that you repeatedly said that you made mistakes. And I would challenge you or argue that they weren't mistakes, sir, that they were actually choices. And from sipping wine, I don't think you can get drunk. I mean, taking a sip to ease the pain is completely, you sound like you're making it sound as if you were taking communion. That's a sip of wine, not a whole bottle of wine or wine in your car. Tell us where exactly you work, sir. Where was it in Milford?
My business is in Milford. I would buy a bottle of wine. It takes about an hour to drive home. And I would pretty much sip the whole bottle on the way home. So basically,
it's drinking. You drank the whole bottle. It's not a sip.
Okay. The choice of words that mean the same thing.
No, they don't. They
Okay.
really do not mean the same thing, sir.
Okay.
So in Milford this is where you work. Your drive home was about an hour, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so why did you get 6 or 7 DUIs in New York then?
6 or 7, that never happened.
Sir, your DUI, you had operating under the influence from 93 up until 2021. In fact,
No,
were you on
under some supervision or something in New York, or is that another file? Because these all run
No.
together.
You have 93, and that was one, and then the one in 21, when the plow fell off the front of my truck, that's the second one. What else do you have?
You have one in 93. I show 2012, 2014, 2011, and 2017. So that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in Connecticut, you have 1, 2, 3, 4.
I didn't have anything in 2017. And the one and two,
You shouldn't have more than one.
I understand you correct.
I mean, we're not argue over how many of these that you've received, sir. We're simply saying that your choices, not your mistakes, your choices to drink wine and drive throughout the states is a danger to society. You've been in prison for how many months? You said 14 months now?
What's 14, yes, ma'am.
And you have not taken any programs to address your substance abuse. Do you think that you're an addict, sir?
I signed up for Division 2.
Do you think that you are addicted to alcohol, sir?
No, and I signed up for level 2 alcohol on March 3rd. And on March 12th, I received a response from the prison saying that I was on the list. And I never heard a word for 8 months. And then last week, they called me to tell me that, my name had come up for this program. I explained to them that I had this meeting with you folks today, and the woman specifically said, okay, let's put this off until after the parole hearing. I've tried to get into the GED program to teach other inmates, and I have a bachelor's degree. I was told by the counselor that the inmates
we're getting off track. I need you to really stay focused on the questions that I'm asking you, sir. You're not in prison. You're not in prison because you're trying to give $2 million to children, or you're trying to assist people to obtain their GED. You're in prison because you continue to drink alcohol and then get behind the wheel of a car and drive. And in this instance, sir, you were on the side of the road because you crashed into some trees. Why is it? I know I'm speaking loud enough for him to hear.
Yes.
I can hear you. The problem is, if you can just speak a little slowly, it's not your fault, it's mine. I can hear you.
Okay. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Courtney, I do not believe that you're a suitable candidate for discretionary parole. You have not taken any programs to address your needs. You have several, driving while under the influences. You talked about your license being suspended, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Or will you ever be able to receive another?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And you were supposed to have the interlock device in your car, right?
Interlock device, no. I've had them in the past, but not when what happened put me here, no.
Because you weren't supposed to be driving at all.
That's not true, no. I had a totally legitimate license when this took place.
So with 4 DUIs in Connecticut and the 6 in New York, you weren't required to have an interlock device in your car, sir?
I would be required to have it for like 3 months at a time, and then it would go away, and then maybe 2 years later I'd get in trouble again and have to put it back in again. This one in 2017, I have no idea what you're talking about, really.
Okay,
And I have tried to sign up for things, and I've been told no.
I understand that, sir, but until you do get the programs, I mean, even with the programs, have you ever you said to me that you don't believe that you're addicted to alcohol, and I would challenge you to really think about that statement, sir. No one receives this number of convictions for driving under the influence without having an issue with substance abuse.
Ma'am, the only thing I could say to you in reference to that is, if you took a little more look at this terminal bone disease I have, you might realize how extremely painful it is. I am not addicted to alcohol or anything else.
I sympathize with you and your ailments, Mr. Courtney, but drink and stay at home, okay? Drink all you want, stay
I
home.
don't plan on drinking ever again, man.
But I'm saying, if that's your ailment and you've been struggling with this since you were a child, as you told us in your opening statement, you want to drink alcohol, alcohol is legal. You can go to the store and buy it. Our issue is that you get behind the wheel of a car and you put thousands of other people at risk because of your poor decisions.
I agree with you.
And these are not mistakes.
I am not drinking alcohol again, period. I'm done. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. I've acknowledged that. And I will never drink again. I'm sorry.
I don't think our issue really is with your drinking, sir. It's what you do after you're drinking. So
I don't know how else to explain to you that.
There's nothing else to explain because, you know, in this, you had this is a concerned citizen called authorities because you had a single car accident. You had vomit in your front seat. And what was going on that day? That's a sip of alcohol, vomiting in your front seat?
The one that you're talking about, I was parking my truck to sleep on my own private property.
Sir.
On private property that I own.
Sir.
And that's a fact.
Okay, I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Courtney,
Yes, ma'am.
when you had your pre-sentence investigation interview, you told the interviewer that when I do drink, I cannot stop.
True.
That is the sign of someone who is a problem drinker.
I agree.
And and the fact that you cannot wait until you get home to address your pain issues with alcohol, but you would spend an hour on the road every day finishing off a bottle of wine. Finishing it off. He drank a whole bottle in the hour ride home is a problem, sir. We made our decision about your going out to discretionary parole to finish your 39 months based on the interests of public safety.
I understand.
Okay. Mr. Ziskowskis.
Good morning, sir. I don't have a lot of, I don't have a lot of questions. There's just a couple of things. You said that you weren't able to get the programming inside, you had applied for it, but when you spoke to the parole officer and they asked you, do you plan to take any programming when you get out for your alcohol problem? You said, no, I don't need it. And in fact, your plan was you were going to go on a safari and then you wanted to go to the driving range to hit golf balls. You're not addressing, the issue, and you're not acknowledging that you have a problem with alcohol. I mean, even today you said you have no. I know, but just a couple.
Have a problem.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. But just a couple of minutes ago, you were telling us you have no problem with alcohol. That's the whole reason why you're here. Drinking alcohol and then driving behind the wheel. So I just think you need to come to terms with what's going on in your life and make a plan so that you can get to a place where you can, recognize what the issue is and get some treatment to help you with that. You've had no treatment since you've been incarcerated, and you have no plan to attend treatment on the outside, and you have plans to do all kinds of other things, but not address the problems that led you here. So I encourage you to get serious about your problem and start making plans for how you're going to address this when you get out, because you're going to be right back in here with the attitude that you're presenting today. You're going to be right back in here, sir. I mean, you're not in a place where you're not in a place where you're presenting as a person that's been rehabilitated and has changed and is ready to get back into the community in a safe manner. I don't know if you know this, but there's a note in here, like your neighbors are all afraid to walk on their street because they're so concerned of your drinking and driving up and down the road that they're afraid to even come out of the house and walk on the road. So, this is a public safety concern that I don't think you're at a point that you've recognized the magnitude of.
I don't understand that you're not understanding that I'm telling you that I can't drink at all. I don't want to drink at home. I don't want to drink ever, because when I drink, I get out of control. So and I do have a program set up for when I get back. I'll be going to see a psychologist that I was seeing in Westport several years ago, who now has an office in Richfield. He moved from Mahopac, New York to Richfield, where I live. And now my attorney has set up a program for me to start seeing him again. He also has an office in Westport, but it's more convenient for me in Richfield because I can't drive. And that program has already been established. But the thing is, I can't understand, I can't be more emphatic about the fact that I do not want to drink at home. I do not want to drink at home.
I understand you don't want to drink, and I'm sure you don't want to drink and drive, but you need to get rehabilitated. People need help with that. That's not just, you just say it and then the problem goes away. That's not how this works, you know? So you need to have treatment and make plans to have treatment, sir. So that's all. Those are just some of the things that I noticed when I read through these documents that I wanted to bring up. And I'm going to pass it back to the chairperson here.
So, Mr. Courtney, the concern really is that you're going back to the same house, the same job, and you fix nothing. And so, you still have your medical issues, which is what you attribute your abuse of alcohol to. So even situationally, things don't seem to put you in a better place to not reoffend. And that's our concern. So at this point, we're done with the questions. We're going to talk about your case. Give us just a minute. Ms. Berry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that we have all expressed our concerns, and they're all very much the same. At this time, while I can appreciate Mr. Courtney's ailing health and his medical issues, I don't believe that he's suitable at this time. I'm happy to hear that he is at least now accepting that he does have a problem with alcohol. We've made some strides. Maybe I wasn't as clear as the two of you or as articulate, but at least now he recognizes that he has an issue that needs to be addressed. He knows that he can no longer drink. That's great for him to know, but for right now, I don't find him acceptable or disrespectful. In fact, he's been given a number of times. I will not hold to have him with me.
I'm not interested in that either. Are you on board?
Yeah, I can't I can't even have this conversation without him having received some type of treatment, you know. So I'm not in a place to grant parole.
Okay. So the reasons I have are criminal history, inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change, nature and circumstance.
On probation, Madam Chair. And he's been for VOP. So.
Well, the probation was New York, so. Are we okay with those reasons?
I have those, yeah, those three.
Okay. So in the matter of Stephen Courtney, inmate number 417259, there is motion to deny parole for the following reasons: your criminal history, the nature and circumstance of your current offenses, your inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Parole is denied unanimously.
Would you please help me sign up for this tier 2 program that I've been trying to get into since last March?
I would think you need tier 4, sir, but please talk to the counselors there at the facility. Ask for tier 4.
Good luck.
This concludes the hearing for Stephen Courtney, inmate number 417259. Mr. Courtney, you'll receive all this in writing, okay? So good luck to you. Talk to your counselor about your interest in tier 4 or whatever program it is that you choose to do. Have a good one.
Hide your wife, hide your kids, stay off the road. Like you heard, they said their neighbors are afraid, and that is a travesty. He is getting out regardless in good time in March. That's in 5 months from now. He's going to be back on the road. He is dangerous. Oh my God. This is someone who is so dangerous. How can you be so clueless? And it's like the whole world can see that it's happening. He's going to get out. He's going to get back in a car because he's going to drive an hour to and back from work every day. But don't worry, he's just going to sip some wine. They need to like designate a, I don't know, a patrol car to follow him and just wait, watch him go and sip his wine, pull him over and lock him up for good. Put away the key. I've been donating millions of dollars over all these. No one knows about it. So I'm going to tell you that I do it. It's like, dude, you're dangerous. You know, at least the parole board, you know, for these cases, they don't like the DWI cases. I think because I don't know why it is that they wrap their mind around that differently than like those who harm children, those who, it's just something they think about differently for some reason. But man, I do, even though they handled it great, I still wish Mr. Mirabella would have had a piece of him. I mean, there had to be something. You would think there should be something that they can do to protect society from this monster. I don't know, like, could they not set requirements? Could they not like issue, like we've seen Louisiana do that? They'll be like, you're denied, and when you get out, or they'll make some type of conditional parole first, but they'll say you need to wear a scramble bracelet, you need to have a breathalyzer, you need to do this, you need to do that. He apparently is wealthy. He can, or he claims to be, and he can do those things, right? Well, I just feel like this is going to be another one of those big one of those things. It killed. How did this happen? Why it could have been stopped? But you know, I'll read to you some things that Sir Richard found. Let's see. I can. There's an address here, so I'll just read it to you instead of screen sharing it. But let's see, and we'll go over his crimes. 2013. So this is in 2013. Richville police were called to Mountain Road at 9 p.m. Sunday. On word, a car was stuck in someone's lawn. When the patrol officer arrived and approached the vehicle, it sped off, nearly striking the police officer, who ran to his car and followed it. They had a brief chase, a car chase, that ended when the car struck a parked car and a tree. When the officer stopped near the car, the driver backed up and hit the cruiser. I mean, how was he not locked away for this? This was October 9, 2013. Not his most recent offense, right? The officer of the man and the man, later identified as Stephen Courtney, struggled, and the man was charged with criminal attempt to assault an officer, interference with police officer, first-degree criminal mischief, driving under the influence, and failure to drive right. What is that? Failure to drive right. He was also charged with reckless driving, failure to drive in the established lane, eluding police, 2 counts, and evading responsibility. And let's see what they gave him for that, right? Now, he would have had a good attorney. The attorney would have said, this might have been his first offense, would have said, he's a great guy, he's an outstanding person, blah, blah, blah. So that was, like we said, 20, let me see, let me just remove this here. All right. That was 2013. So that's this one. What did he get for this? He got sentenced to 9 months jail. But I think probation death. Did he actually serve the time though? I guess that's not so clear, because you can see it's revoked for this offense. Then he has his 2020, which was sentenced to 3 years jail. But remember, they suspended it after all of this. The bottom line is he's only serving like 1 year with good time. He has on 5/21/2020 his third DUI. He has 2018 illegal operation of a vehicle, sentenced 3 years, but suspended after 1, probation 3. All right, I have in my notes, they say he's a low risk of recidivism. It's like, you know, they're idiotic algorithms. Low risk of recidivism. Are you kidding me? This guy is such a high risk, but that's what they do. You know, we don't have PhDs. We don't understand it. Yeah, I don't know. Here's the other accident. Is this the same 2011 accident? I don't know. They say they also found 35 grams of the devil's lettuce in his car. what can you do? It's just crazy. I think it's the sentencing that's crazy for this. Hopefully, maybe they have the requirements. Maybe the judge sets the requirements that once he's released, he has to do those things. Maybe that's out of the parole board's hands. It's just a different system. My 4-year-old son just came back from school while I was recording this, and he came in and he gave me this bracelet that he made for me, and he says, "I put turtles on it," and he did. He put, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, he made a bracelet. There you go. And he actually put 2 turtles on it, and he gave it to me. He knows I like turtles. Oh, you can see it this way. And that was really cute. And it's like, we have to do a better job at protecting our little ones. We just do. This guy is so dangerous, so clueless. And it's a strange thing with these DUI cases. I know that DUIs happen. There are people that don't, a lot of people drink and drive. Some people never get caught. Some people do get caught. Some people do it once or twice. This guy clearly has probably been doing his whole life, and he just gets caught every once in a blue moon. But so many that we see who get caught, who then have parole, they are the worst of the worst, and they show it at their parole hearings. There's this type of just detachment of reality that we see over and over again, especially the ones that kill people. And it's just strange. I don't know how that happens, but it does. And thank you, Sir Richard, for the info. With that, I'll let you go.
Application for Scott Old Snider, inmate number 328171. He is serving a sentence of 6 years. Execution suspended after 2.5 years jail, 2 years mandatory minimum, for 3 years of probation to follow for 2 counts of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. 3 years.
3 counts.
3 counts. 3 counts of illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of 2/5/2024 at 50%. Just to also note for the record, his mandatory minimum date is January 25th, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. A review of the plan shows he has completed tier 4 aftercare CCAR coach, and he's a CCAR professional utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system. The offender overall score, the SRT, falls within the moderate range. Mr. Gold Snider, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I just turned 60 and I've been here for just close to 2 years now. Give me a lot of time to think. Alcohol has really devastated my life, my relationships with my friends and family. I did work 30 years for Coca-Cola, but that ended too because of alcohol. No call, no shows kind of thing. Alcohol is my problem. I am glad no one got hurt. I don't even believe I was driving. The last one I was on a scooter. So that is good. I didn't really hurt anybody yet, but I understand the potential was there. I understand the seriousness of that. I didn't waste my time while I was incarcerated. I tried to do everything to learn about my condition. I've gone to every, AA, any meeting I could get to. I've been a mentor I've been asked to be a mentor for quite a while. I like to think that was because I lead by example. With me, it's very simple. I need to stop drinking completely, totally. That is it. My entire life record, everything has been alcohol related. I plan to, I hope to go to New Haven with a CCAR office. I have some community service. I would like to do it there, and I would also like to volunteer afterwards to help out, to try to give back a little bit. I've had 10 years in AA, bless you. I've had 10 years in AA. And it worked when I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And another period of my life, I had 9 years in AA. But my problem was I got complacent. I felt that I was okay. It has to be for the rest of my life. And perhaps I can give back to the younger generation. And I've learned a lot about my condition and what to avoid. And I don't know. I hope to just get out there and live a clean, honest, sober life. That is my goal.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Goldsnyder. We appreciate that opening statement. We have prepared questions. We'll take turns asking you those questions. We've read all the available documents. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No, I don't believe I do.
Great. So we'll start with panel member Barry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Snider, I want to begin by saying that I appreciate your acknowledgement that you struggle with alcoholism. And I also appreciate your acknowledging that you can no longer drink. You shared with us some of your sober times in your life, and when you were doing the right things, it seemed that you were okay. You were able to refrain from picking up. However, it's not in those times that you're a risk to society. It's when you do, when you are complacent, when you do think you can have a drink at a wedding or a birthday party or, in a celebratory drink, however you do it, is what leads you to get behind the wheel of a car and put everyone else at risk. And I would beg to differ that you talked about being on a scooter and not really being able to cause any harm that way. When in all actuality, when you were in March of 2022, you were making a left turn, or you were turning the corner and you struck some parked cars, and is that right?
That's what the statement said, yes, but there was no one ever, that's as far as it went, was that statement. So I don't believe there was ever any, that never really happened to my knowledge. When I was at the police station, they asked me and they said this is what happened. And I said, okay, because I really did not know. But I've never heard anything past that point as far as.
In our official description, it says that that's what you did. So that's what we're going based on.
Okay.
And the fact of the matter is that when the officer asked you, had you been drinking, you said, as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember making that statement?
Honestly, no. But it said that I hit vehicles with my vehicle. There was zero damage to my vehicle. So I don't know how that worked out.
The problem is that you don't know what happened. You don't remember even saying to the officer that when he asked you if you had a drink, you're saying as much as I could. I specifically wrote that down. And then, because you were so far gone, you really, just because you didn't have damage to your car doesn't mean that you can hit someone else's car. So my question to you is, I'm happy to hear that you participated in the programs, and it sounds as if you have a better understanding of your addiction and the things that you need to do. My concern is, sir, that even with suspended licenses, it looks like you still drive. What's the status of your license right now?
Suspended permanently.
Okay. And so what is life without a license look like for you?
It's I understand it completely. Someone behind the wheel should not drink. That's the end of the story there. I grew up not in the city, so transportation was always an issue for me. So if I get out, I like to go to New Haven where there's public transportation so I could work. There's also a C-car office in New Haven.
Mentioned
I
that
never
in
really-
your opening statement. You mentioned
I'm
that.
sorry?
You mentioned that in your opening statement about C-car and going to New Haven. So,
Yep.
like, how long has your license been suspended?
Since, I don't remember, at least until from the arrest. I assume from the arrest.
So when your license was suspended in 2017, what did you have to do to have it reinstated?
I'm very bad with times and dates. I did have it reinstated with the interlock in there at one point. The interlock device at one point.
And how long were you required to keep that device in your car?
I believe it was a year. I believe, I don't quite remember.
So was that after you did the 2016, the DUIs in 2016? You had to have the interlock device and your license was suspended?
At that point, I'm not certain if it's in the paperwork. I don't know.
Do you know how many driving under the influences that you've been convicted of, Mr. Snider?
Do I remember them?
Yes. No, do you know how many you've been convicted of?
There's, I believe, 6 on the record.
So, and that's just the ones that they caught you doing. And there's no doubt in my mind that you drove other times under the influence and you just happened to make it home safely. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm very concerned about the nature of your offenses and how long they've gone on. I think the first one was in 2003. You talked about in your opening statement being sober, it sounds like, for about 9 years with the assistance of AA. What happened that caused a relapse?
Complacency. I didn't keep on doing what was working. I thought I was okay.
So what did you do? What did you, so what, you went to the store and you got a 6-pack of beer? What happened?
I don't remember the exact thing that did it, but basically I was complacent. I didn't go to my meetings. I stopped calling my sponsor. And then you'll hear over and over in AA groups that they stopped doing what works. You thought that, after that a certain amount of time, you thought that I was okay. And it's simply not true. It's a lifelong thing.
So even after having all these accidents, you thought it was okay for you to drink? I mean, having all these DUIs, you thought it was okay for you to drink and drive again?
It's insane. The thinking of an addict or alcoholic is simply insane. I don't justify it. Every other part of my life, I feel I'm pretty, pretty on par with where I should be. But concerning alcohol, it's insanity.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, I would probably feel a little more comfortable. I understand that complacency can lead to relapse, but I think that you're being able to verbalize to me, well, this is what happened, and I went to the store and I picked up I got a bottle of wine and I drank the wine, and that one wine bottle led to 2 to 3 to 4 kind of thing, to gain a better understanding, aside from your saying complacency. You understand what it's like? Is there something that happened that said that, okay, I have to go and get a drink? Like, is there anything that triggered you? I guess that's what I'm getting at. Some triggers that causes you to want to pick up.
It's been my experience that friends and family always look for a reason. Why did you do this? What was going on in my life that made it? The honest truth is, I think I've started drinking just as much when things were going good in my life as bad. Why? It's the insanity. They call it the strange mental blank spots. I'm not making any justifications here, but I can't give you a good reason why I start drinking again. I just know that once I put that first drink in me, it's all done. I cannot take that first drink, no matter what. It's very simple for me. If I drink, if I'm lucky, I'll be back in jail. If not, I'll be dead or do something. I have to take care of my addiction. I don't consider myself a criminal. I consider myself an alcoholic addict. It's not an excuse, but that's very accurate of what I am. I cannot drink safely at all.
Yeah. I guess that's what makes it even more concerning to me, though, Mr. Snider, because if you drink when times are good and you drink when times are bad and you just drink just because you like to drink, I can't safely say that I think that you're going to be able to continue on this path and not commit any more offenses. I mean, I understand what you're saying, that you really don't have a reason as to why, but that doesn't make me feel any better about making a decision to release you out into the community, because to me, that's still considered a risk. You're still considered a risk. I drink when times are good. I drink when times are bad. I drink just because I want to drink. And that's concerning to me. And I'm glad that you can acknowledge that. But in terms of us today trying to determine whether or not you're suitable for early release, that's, that adds to my already long list of concerns. So
I got a question. If I was here for a year, 3 years, 5 years, and I said the same thing, you would probably justifiably have the same answer. So someone that has a disease, which is according to the American Medical Association and the American Psychiatric Association, that it is a disease. Putting somebody in jail is good. I mean, I needed it. I am not bitter that I'm in jail at all. But 10 years down the road, you could say the same exact thing. What I plan on doing is doing what worked. It is staying involved in my recovery, because I got complacent. Things were going good when I did what I was supposed to do. Very simple. I understand your concern, but would the concern be any less 10 years down the road, 50 years down the road? Do we take people with addiction and just put them away and hope for the best when they get out? I don't have that answer for you.
what we do is we put them in to prisons, and we hope that they can rehabilitate themselves enough not to cause anyone else any more harm. And the fact of the matter is that they've tried to work with you for years. So they've given you opportunities to correct the behavior, and you continue to make the same decision. And what's the saying about offenses being a indicator of future behaviors or something like that? I'm trying to.
Past behavior is best indicator of future behavior.
Yeah, I'm horrible with that kind of stuff. But when you have this kind of history, sir, it's going to continue to be a concern. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, because we don't want anyone else to lose their lives because a person decides to drink and get behind the wheel of a car. Listen, if you want to go home and drink yourself into oblivion and die there in your house, that alcohol is legal. That's up to you. That's your choice. But when you take it that additional step further and get behind the wheel of a car, and I know you see it on the news, sir, people getting on ramps the wrong way, causing people's lives to forever be changed. Our jobs here, number one, is to public safety. Am I correct? That's what we do want you to be out there and doing well. That I think that's what we all desire, and that benefits us all. You're out in the community being a law-abiding, contributing citizen. However, we have to make sure that we do that in light of public safety. So that's my rebuttal to your question about our keeping people in prison. So I appreciate our discussion, Mr. Snider. Madam Chair, I'm all set.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Goldsnyder, can you tell me what your support network consists of? Who's in it?
Right now, I go to 9 meetings a week, but actually they just kind of switched recently because they moved us from different dorms until we get that straightened out.
Okay, I'm gonna clarify my question. So when you are released, because you will go out, whether it's at your mandatory minimum or your end of sentence, What's your support system in the community like?
Well, I'm not there yet, so I don't know. What I plan on is starting a network of people in my area of my AA. If there's any way I can do an aftercare program with professionals, I am more than willing to do that.
So you don't currently have a sober network, is that correct?
I'm in jail, so no, I don't have anybody out there. I have friends and family at the moment, but that's something you build up, you work toward. You don't have an instant network when you
Right,
jump
but
out.
sir, you've been in recovery, you've done treatment at 5 different agencies,
Mhm.
and you've been in and out of the community. You talked about sober 10 years, sober 9 years. I have a count of 6 years between 2016 and 2022. You talked about going to meetings and becoming complacent and stopping going to meetings. So do those people not exist at all?
The sponsor actually passed away. The network kind of disappears when I disappear, when I stop going to meetings. I jumped around a lot, so yes, people did disappear. Something I plan on. You start small. You go, you raise your hand, you say, I'm new to the area. You get in meetings and you start a network of people of where you are.
Who in your family is still in your corner?
Who? Both of my older brothers, one of my sons. I have a very good lifelong friend that's clean and sober.
Your brothers live here in Connecticut,
Both of them live in Connecticut, yes.
and your son?
My son lived in Connecticut, but now he's in Maine. My mother was a violent alcoholic. Now my son.
Okay, all right, that's
okay,
okay.
well, he needs a liver because he's an alcoholic also. 80% disabled.
So you had a technical violation on home confinement. What did that consist of?
I have no idea. They checked me once a week randomly, and once I was, I registered for alcohol. So if that's what they're talking about, probably.
You have another period of DUI home confinement ahead of you? Is that part of your sentence?
I have no idea. I know I have parole for 3 years, I believe.
That's
I have no
probation. That's probation.
I thought I was on parole. I don't know.
So you have a minimum mandatory date of January 25th, and your end of sentence April 23rd. So we're talking about a possible period of 3 months of parole, support, and supervision were you to be granted today. And you don't have a sponsor. So what's your plan come April if you're in a halfway house and your supervision ends with parole?
The idea of being in a halfway house was that I could get transportation to places. I could get on my feet. I could get into, I know you don't like to hear this, but the C-car people. I hope to spend a lot of time there, hopefully volunteering, and start my life.
So from all the various treatment programs you've participated in, do you understand why alcohol is a problem for you? Do you understand?
I'm sitting
Okay.
in jail. Yes, alcohol is a problem, mentally, spiritually, physically. It has done a lot of damage.
I'm asking for the why. I know you said when you have your first drink, it's all done. But why is alcohol a problem for you?
According to the research, some of it is genetic. Through a line of people, some of it is how I dealt with the crazy alcoholic mother growing up. trying to make things, and it worked for a while. I mean, I was very stressed out as a little kid. Alcohol worked.
Have you ever tried Al-Anon or Adult Children of Alcoholics?
I've read many books like Claudia Black about adult children of alcoholics. I fit many of those descriptions. I have gone to a couple Al-Anon meetings, but not a lot. But I'll do whatever it takes for me to stay sober. Staying in jail for another 3 or 5 months, I'm homeless now. Or 30 years at Coca-Cola, I got nothing.
Okay. All right. We understand your circumstances. We honestly have read and we understand. So, since you have this complacency problem that leads to you resuming your abuse of alcohol, I do encourage you to try new things. I'm glad you're connected with CCAR. But perhaps, the adult children programs in addition to the AA can help you resolve some of those underlying issues and traumas of the childhood that predisposed you to abuse alcohol. So I'm offering it to you because you need to try everything. And if these are things you haven't, dedicated yourself to in the past, add them to your playlist because you need to get a handle on recovery in a very solid way so that, picking up really isn't an option for you.
Agreed.
Okay. Mr. Sazowski?
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we're done with the questions, sir. Just give us a few minutes. I think we understand where you're coming from, Ms. Barry.
Yeah, I honestly really do have so many concerns from Mr. Goldfarb. That he is receiving the help that he needs while he's there. And it truly sounds like he's really starting to navigate and understand the magnitude of his addiction. But again, I grapple with, him doing well in there versus him coming out in the community and being a risk. So
I appreciate that fully. I'm coming at it from the other side, which is he's engaged in the positive programs that he most needed. He's had, a chance to get some perspective back, engage with CCAR, re-engage with AA. And my concern would be putting him out end of sentence without housing and the basics to get his life in order, and that predisposing him to a relapse. He does not have a sponsor, and his support system sounds to me a little shaky. So for the 3-month period of transition, I would be willing to provide him parole supervision. Mr. Sazowskis?
So reading through this, I was also weighing the fact for these 3 months, that's what we're talking about, is the public safety concern greater if he goes out homeless on probation, or is it better to him to have this oversight for these 3 months and potentially some resources that he could probably take advantage of to try to find some kind of permanent housing situation and some stability. He has done work with CCAR and taken Tier 4 to address his issues. I think we're all concerned about this going the wrong way for him. But I do think that the parole support for those 3 months could be helpful to him and put him on a path to get some kind of housing situation rectified before he's out homeless on the street, which in my opinion would make this worse. So I'm in favor of granting parole today.
I wanted to add to the record that he also did complete the DUI program.
and he did a lot of stuff in there. But that probation doesn't provide housing.
Right.
Even
That has been my experience. Okay, so for conditions, I have no alcohol, no driving, halfway house, and a mental health evaluation and treatment if deemed necessary. Did you have anything in addition?
I don't know what you said, but I was just looking it up.
Yeah, those are the four I have.
Halfway house,
Alcohol.
no alcohol, no driving, and mental health evaluation.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
I understand. Okay.
And the probation according to the schedule.
So in the matter of Scott Snider, inmate number 328171, there is a motion to grant parole on or after your mandatory minimum date of January 25th, 2025, with the following conditions for your supervision. Halfway house placement, no consumption of alcohol, no driving, and mental health evaluation and treatment is deemed necessary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye. Nay.
Okay, so the motion carries by majority. We wish you much success, Mr. Snider.
Good luck, sir.
This concludes the hearing for Scott Snider, 328171. Did you hear that?
Me, yes.
Mr. Gold? So you're all set. You'll receive all this in writing. Good luck to you.
Okay, just got a quick question. Who decides where I go? Is that you guys or is that somebody at the facility?
Parole and Community Services, someone will come meet with you to make a plan. Your release date is not until January 25th.
Okay. It just, it looks
On
like,
or after.
yeah, they also made me mentor. I've been a mentor for, I still am for like 8 months with the
Well, that's
addiction
great, because
services.
you've got at least 2 more months you can continue to give back in that
Absolutely.
way.
Absolutely.
Okay, good luck to you, sir. You're all set. Okay? The
Very
hearing is
good.
over. Okay, the hearing is over for you. You can go.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay, so let's unpack this one. And I don't know, I guess what was a little bit different than the previous one that we saw is at least this guy admits that he has a problem, right? Versus the other guy's like, what do you mean? I'm just sipping some wine on the way home. You know, one was more, the first was definitely incredibly insufferable. This one, this hearing, what was strange, I don't really quite understand. I felt like in one way you can look at it and say, well, he's not making excuses. He's just saying he has a problem and he's going to drink. There's no way of stopping it. I mean, what things could be good for him, things can be bad for him. But he stopped taking his programs. He became complacent and he started drinking again. But there are certain things that I just didn't like in there where he's talking about one of the accidents. I don't know. My vehicle had no scratches on it. They said all theirs had scratches. So like, come on, like. What are you saying there? And then, you know, his final accident on the scooter, Sir Richard has, you know, these articles on this. It's just that they're small little snippets, but it basically says that it's like one line in a line, you know. So he's 59 years old at the time when he's charged with a lane violation, driving under the influence while under suspension, driving without minimum insurance, and driving an unregistered vehicle after a scooter crash. So he is the scooter crash, and I'm guessing it's an electric scooter. And it's like, yeah, the guy is seriously, he can't. And what's scary about this, he's so young, you know, he's going to start drinking again. I mean, you just get that. It's like, how is he really? Is he going to go the rest of his life without drinking and getting in a car? Sadly, it just seems like something very serious waiting to happen. And we see this happen in the news. Someone goes, they get in a car, they wipe out a family, they kill a newlyweds right after their wedding day. They kill 2 hockey star players, right? Like we see it in the news all the time. And then it comes out the next day, wow, that person had a history of doing this and they had a history of doing that. And then there's the outrage. Why were they allowed to drive? Why were they in here? It's just sad, but I feel like this is just one of those things about to happen. And we just covered a case of a young lady. She's 25 at the time she did it, where she killed a mother and a son leaving a Coachella concert. And we have body cam footage. It was a Utah parole hearing, really intense hearing. I haven't played it for you here because of copyright issues, but I'm going to play it on. I'm going to play it for you on Rumble I'm just trying to find the right time to do it, but I have already listed it on X and on TikTok if you want to see it there. That's an intense hearing. The huge red flags for this guy, in my opinion, he has zero support, right? He says he has one son, two brothers that are still there for him. I mean, if you were really involved in AA and all this stuff in the community, you would have some type of sponsor. You would have, but it seems that he has burnt every single bridge, period. And that's got to be if anything, the biggest red flag for me. Then the other part, he had an interesting point, which is he's like, look, I'm an alcoholic. There's nothing I can do about it. And they're like, well, you should be able to do talking points. He's like, well, if I've been another 5 years and I came back, I'd be in the same place. And what they want from him, I think they want some insight. They want him to say, I know that I drink because my experience with my mother. And like, that's what they're looking for him to say. And they might have a point, because has he really, like, he's just summed it up. He's like, I drink. But they want something deeper. They want him to be able to go down and say, well, why do you drink? And I don't know if it would make a difference for him, but he also didn't seem to have the understanding or ability to do that. So we have his, thank you, Sir Richard, for the info. We have his arrest on 5/3/2014 for operating under the influence. We have his 3/19/2016 for violation of bond, also under the influence. I mean, how many times did he say? He said he had 6 or 7 arrests. Is that what he said? 3/19/16, so it's the same one. 3/19/22, I think that's this one. Legal operation under a vehicle. It's scary. It is scary. And these folks, they are, I think, goes hands down, just absolutely dangerous. They are getting into a weapon. Every time they get into that weapon, they have already a history of getting into that weapon and just driving it into the wrong way, into cars. They're just dangerous. And you know what? If you're going to release them, the rules need to be more understood from our side. It needs to be no license ever, no car ever. You're found in a car, go back to prison type of stuff. I mean, but they don't have those rules. They have, even like the breathalyzer, it seems to be a certain period of time. He should be required. Maybe the judge required him to do it, and that's why the parole board doesn't mention it. In Louisiana, the parole board at least mentions it. They'll say, well, you'll need to wear this and this and this on your leg so we know if you're drinking. They don't do that here in Connecticut. At least we don't see it, right? So hopefully it's like something the judge had assigned when he gets out, that he's going to have to wear a bracelet. Because come on, this is so predictable. Both of them are so predictable, and that's dangerous. And with that, I'll let you.
My business is in Milford. I would buy a bottle of wine. It takes about an hour to drive home, and I would pretty much sip the whole bottle on the way home. So basically,
it's drinking. You drank the whole bottle. That's it.
Okay. The choice of words that mean the same thing.
No, they don't. They
Okay.
really do not mean the same thing, sir.
Okay.
But it said that I hit vehicles with my vehicle. There was zero damage to my vehicle. So I don't know how that worked out.
The problem is that you don't know what happened. You don't remember even saying to the officer that when he asked you if you had a drink, you're saying as much as I could. I specifically wrote that down.